mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, and today I'm here to talk about Season 2, Episode 3 of HBO's House of the Dragon, entitled The Burning Mill. I don't know why I've seen such mixed reviews on this season so far. I think the season is indisputably off to a better start than Season 1, which I still thought got off to a good start. I didn't even dislike that as much as everyone else. And I thought this was yet another really strong episode to start this season. Yeah, of course, I had issues with it, as I have with many other issues, both last season and this one, but I think the good far outweighs the not so good here. I can't even call it bad. The plotting and scheming between the Greens and the Blacks is absolutely delicious. This season's continuing to have some really great character moments, and every episode has been pretty engaging and exciting, never boring. However, it's not without its flaws. There are scenes that felt out of place, like the scene at the whorehouse, or I'm sorry, I can't just gonna call it a whorehouse. I'm blanking on a nicer name to call it, but I'm not for euphemisms anyway. Or the scene where Daemon is told that he's going to die in Harrenhal. But by and large, the flaws are minor. I feel like this show is getting shit for things that other shows get passes for. Like, for example, I'm not going to revisionist history Shogun. Those first 3 episodes or so of Shogun had a lot of issues. Like, I've watched the whole thing a second time, and none of that's changed. I watched it again. I'm like, yeah, I still got a lot of problems in these first 3 or 4 issues, 3 or 4 episodes. Yet people all want to pile on like, this is the most amazing miniseries ever bandwagon, so much that they purposely forget the questionable start that show had. I don't understand why people are so forgiving of Shogun, but so unforgiving of House of the Dragon. But, quite honestly, having fewer issues in its first 3 episodes than Shogun did, I'm kind of surprised it's having such a hard time. But I'm not trying to compare the 2 shows before those of you who struggle with comprehension accuse me of doing that. I'm comparing the responses to the shows. Like, I feel like people are going way harder on this show for less than they went easy on Shogun for more. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, is this show perfect? Not at all. Is it as good as Game of Thrones was at this point? Also no. But is it really fucking good right now? Yeah, I think it is. So let's get into what happened this week. Hey everybody, I just want to take a small break from this review to talk about the various other ways you can engage with me on other platforms. If you're so inclined, and I understand why you wouldn't, I am an acquired taste, but you can join the Patreon where you can get extra content like retro reviews, where I review old shows and movies to see if they still hold up today, Mike's Musings, where I talk about shows I'm watching that I don't cover on the channel, or Mike's VOD, where you can commission me to watch a show, which I will then review on the channel. And if you want to engage with me and chat with me more directly, I also implore you to join the Discord and follow the Facebook page. I set up channels in the Discord for all of us to discuss the shows I'm reviewing on the channel, and I also drop new videos in there since it's the easiest platform for me to share to from my phone. The Facebook can be really fun because I sort of live comment on shows I'm watching, often while under the influence, I'm not going to lie. And I'll also share news there, both about television and film, and about myself as well. So if you like my content, you want to be more engaged, you think I'm charming, or you simply want to show support, feel free to sign up for the Patreon or join the Discord or Facebook today. Links to all platforms are in every video description. Remember to share all my shit to your respective social media platforms. And now back to this review. The opening scene this week shows a petty argument between 2 families escalate into a massive slaughter. Now, already I'm kind of like, well, this feels like a bit of a stretch to have this many people dead. Like, they're like piled on one another. You can't even see the grass between them, and it's all over an argument of not even like a personal argument, just like an argument of who you support. Like, I'm Team Aegon, I'm Team Rhaenyra. Now everybody's dead, but whatever. But I love how this scene fed into a theme that was prevalent in this episode about how these wars can escalate to such a high degree that the reason they started in the first place can be lost. Rhaenys gives a great quote in this episode where she says that they're at a point where the desire to kill and burn has taken hold and all reason has been forgotten. Rhaenyra says the war started when they usurped her throne, and Rhaenys is like, yeah, sure, it was probably that, or it could have been when Luke took Aemond's eye, or when Luke died, or when that baby got decapitated. And that was a great scene and conversation early on in the episode, and it dovetails nicely with the Alicent and Rhaenyra conversation that's at the end, but I'll get to that when I get to the end. Rhaenys even points out Rhaenyra's hypocrisy when Rhaenyra says that Alicent permitted the death of Luke. She's like, well, she didn't do it. She's like, well, she permitted it. And Rhaenys is like, the same way you permitted that baby to get decapitated. And you can see Rhaenyra kind of go like, good point. And I just loved how Rhaenys was the voice of logic and reason in a very tumultuous time in that scene. Also, I don't know if it's intentional, but I feel like these scenes closely mirror what real life in America is like today. And part of me is like, of course it's intentional, but then also I'm like, well, this is based on a book. But let's talk about this briefly. You have citizens of the same country at each other's throats over mere support of a possible leader. It's like, oh, you like Biden? Well, fuck you. Oh, you like Trump? Well, fuck you. And it's like, it has nothing to do with the person or anything else other than like, oh, you're going to vote for that guy? Well, fuck you. We're at the point that Rhaenys talks about right here in America, where both sides just hate each other just because of who they support, and the reason or logic is gone. And I loved how these scenes kind of tied all that shit together. Downplayed in this episode, but I imagine to be of great importance later, is the fact that Rhaenyra sends Rhaena and her sons off to Pentos for safety, while Baela and of course her dragon remain. I don't know where this is going, but Game of Thrones has never sent a motherfucker away not to return at an important time. So we'll probably end up seeing Rhaena again. We'll probably also see Laenor again. If you guys forgot about him, that whole ruse to make everyone think he was dead, but he wasn't. And then Rhaenyra also sends them away with baby dragons and eggs. So there's that too. And she sends them away with 4. But, I mean, those legs look suspiciously like the eggs that Daenerys has at the beginning of Game of Thrones. And I wonder if maybe those are Daenerys' eggs, but one of them hatches at some point during the course of this show. And we'll get to see that dragon be active on this show. And then the other 3, of course, will remain in the eggs until they become... Oh, how long has it been? Drogon, Rhaegal, and... Oh, fuck. The other one was with a V. That was the one that turned into the ice dragon. Vhagar? Fuck, I can't remember the third one. Shame on me. It's been so long, man. I've seen Game of Thrones so many times. Rhaegal, Drogon. Fuck, and I know the other one starts with a V. God damn it. Anyway, Rhaenyra decides to employ the White Worm, who wants to work for Rhaenyra since Rhaenyra respected her enough to release her. And she wants her to help her get access to the Red Keep so she can have a conversation with Alicent, since Rhaenys has convinced Rhaenyra that Alicent wants to avoid a war too. This leads to yet another great scene of the episode where Rhaenyra and Alicent have a face-to-face conversation. After a bit of like, this isn't my fault, it's your fault between the two of them, Alicent seemingly convinces Rhaenyra that Viserys did in fact change his mind on his deathbed about who he wanted to be his heir. And I love this moment because you know that Rhaenyra truly believes that Alicent is lying in this moment. And she lays out a whole case for how ridiculous it is that Viserys would change his mind in that moment when he has been such a staunch supporter of Rhaenyra up to that point. And all of that's true, and he didn't change his mind, but also Alicent technically isn't lying. She truly believes that he named Aegon in those final moments. Until she drops the phrase, the prince was promised. And I know we all were like, that's going to do it. Sure enough, Alicent, through the conversation, comes to the realization that she fucked up and then is like, nope, I didn't make a mistake. You can leave that way. Bye now. It's like it. And it's true. Like, they're already too far gone. And when we talk about all those moments that could have been avoided that really set this war off, like Rhaenys was talking about, here's another one. This could be another one. Like, you know, what was the start of the war? Well, when Rhaenyra tried to make everything cool and Alicent refused because she didn't want to admit that she made a mistake. And this was Rhaenyra extending the olive branch. Alicent had an opportunity to end it all, but instead going, we're in too deep. It is what it is. Good luck to you. But the reason for the war is officially lost, which is the theme of the episode here. We're just there now. It just is. Also, I can't state enough how much I love when this show goes, let's do this. And whatever this is, it happens right away. So Rhaenyra's like to White Worm, I want to speak with Alicent. And in the next scene, they're pulling up to the Red Keep. And they built up the White Worm enough for me to not need the details of how they got there. The disguise and the fact that I know she has intimate knowledge of the castle, good enough for me. I'm glad we got there. Like, I've poked fun at this show a million times. Not a million times, but before. Game of Thrones would have taken like 3 seasons to do that. And then they do it in the very next scene. All right, moving on to the B plot of this episode. It revolves around Criston Cole, Alicent's brother, Alice's brother Gwaine, and Daemon, all converging at Harrenhal at the same time. I love the name Gwaine. It's like Dwayne with a G. And I'm not saying it's like that. It is that. Like, if you don't watch with the captions on, it's Dwayne, but with a G instead of a D. Daemon left Dragonstone in last week's episode at the very end, but he arrives in this one. And I thought the scenes of him walking through, like, the remains of Harrenhal were really cool, eerie, scary type shit. Creepy. Really cool scenes. When he finds the room that everyone else is in, they immediately surrender and bend the knee. We also learn, and I hope this is going to be important later, but we learn that the remaining Strongs within Harrenhal seemingly hold Larys responsible for the fire that he I don't think he technically started. I think he hired those other people to start it, but they hold Larys responsible for the fire that Larys is responsible for, which is wise and accurate. Kristen Cole, Gwaine, and others also head to Harrenhal. They don't make it this week, though, as Baela, who was sent on patrol by Rhaenyra, she spots them with vision that has to be of, like, superhero caliber. Like, not only did she spot the bodies just being down there, and then the camera, like, pans to the area that she's looking at. I'm like, I don't see shit. she not only did she identify that there were people down there, but she later identified Kristen Cole specifically as one of the people. What the fuck kind of vision does this woman have? But Aemond, he was also supposed to go on this trip, but he ends up back at the same whorehouse he was at last week. And Aegon arrives, interrupting a conversation that the audience hears about a guy claiming to be the bastard brother of Daemon and Viserys, so that's going to be important. Aegon arrives during that conversation, and he interrupts. He's trying to get his squire laid. And he discovers Aemond in that same fetal position that we saw him in with that same woman. And he completely cooks this motherfucker, but still hanging out with the woman who took his virginity. And it looked like Aemond was going to kill his brother. And he just gets up and walks off, dick swinging. He's like, yeah, what do you say? One whore is as good as another. So yeah, now we're going to talk about it. I didn't like the blowjob scene, guys. And this isn't me being prudish about sex. I have 4 kids. Or even about seeing dick. Game of Thrones had no qualms about showing dicks. And I watched Euphoria faithfully. I love Euphoria. Dick after dick after dick on that show. It's nothing to do with dicks. It's the pointlessness of it. Like that scene, like that actual like blowjob scene, the dick looks super fake. Like a banana, or like if you took a banana but you like smoothed it out, that's what that looked like. And I mean, that makes sense, right? You can't show a big veiny dick just getting sucked on TV. That's porn, right? But why was that scene so important for inclusion that we had to see it despite how fake it looked? Like this show, Game of Thrones, and any other show that wants to push the envelope has been perfectly fine with the bobbing head and the lap move. Like everybody's been cool with that up until this point. I don't see why this director, and this director's a woman, no less. I don't see why this director felt so badly that we needed to see a dick inside a mouth despite not even being able to make it look even kind of sort of realistic. Like, what was the point of that? Like, you talk about gratuitous, like that to me is like the definition of gratuitous. Like, that was the best example of gratuitous nudity on the small screen ever. Like, it pushed the envelope as far as has ever gone on TV, ever. And it had absolutely no purpose. like, I don't even care about the shot of Aemond walking away. Like, this standard Game of Thrones level dick showing. Like, if you were laying down fucking and you get up to walk away, your dick might be out. But the blowjob shot was just baffling to me. Again, especially from a female director. Like, why did you really want to include that? And it's not like women being nude throughout television and film historically, it completely outnumbers to a ridiculous degree the amount of male nudity. The amount of breasts and vaginas that have been shown on TV, or at least bushes, it way outweighs the amount of dicks. Except on Game of Thrones. So like that director doesn't even have to feel like she's balancing the scales, right? Like, no, there's been so much titty and not enough dick. Well, I'm gonna make sure that this dick shot is in this episode. That's not true on Game of Thrones. So like, I don't know. I could see some douchebag guy who's like, yeah, let's have him suck his fucking dick, bro, and we're gonna leave it in the episode because fuck it, that's what we do. But like, I can't imagine why a woman felt the need so strongly to include that when it looked so fake. So So yeah, I had a couple of issues, but nothing that was severe enough to overshadow the great convo with Rhaenyra and Rhaenys at the beginning, the creepy scenes of Daemon moving through Harrenhal, the convo between Rhaenyra and Alicent at the end, and how well this episode executed on the theme of the reason for war being lost amid all the hatred. I think I want to go back real quick because I might have missed the spot that I wanted to talk about. Maybe not. Maybe I'm tripping. Anyway, yeah, I don't see it. This was another really solid episode in what has been a very strong season so far. So let me know what you thought in the comments, and until next week, peace.